Yeah.
If they really wanted to prepare us for the temple, they would have at least told us that there was going to be some group chanting, maybe. They would have told us that we were going to be wearing things like, of course, I had seen temple garments in the wash before and
Yeah.
whatever, but I never saw like the weird hat, the weird, apron. I did see the green apron at one point and I was like, this looks like some Adam and Eve stuff to me, which turns out I was right.
It was.
However, not knowing what it like really looks like on, I was so unprepared in so many ways, and
Yeah.
nothing about temple prep class prepared me for what was actually going to happen.
Yeah. You think they would have mentioned you get a new name and you're going to do some secret handshakes at least. I feel like that seems like bare minimum just
Or,
to prepare someone psychologically for what they're about to do.
right, or at least if we really want to talk about informed consent, they would have said, you're going to be making some promises to God. And although that was hinted at, they didn't tell us it was multiple promises, and they also
Yeah.
didn't tell us it was like you're going to promise to give your life if you
Yeah.
have to. Like somebody
Yeah.
should be prepared to make that promise. I would have thought to myself, am I really prepared to promise that? Now, brainwashed Megan would have said, yes, I will give my life
Of
for this
course.
cause, But
Right.
I feel
Same.
like it's so disingenuous. I feel like it's so disingenuous of them to be so vague about something that is so consequential.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Right. Do you have the manual?
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan,
And I'm Kirsten.
and together we are Ex Mormon Snark.
We're trading our testimonies for truth bombs.
And we're going to spill all the Mormon tea and whatever other beverages we feel like spilling.
Oh, I'm working on my coffee right now in my favorite Tinkerbell mug.
I've got
It
my
says
iced coffee.
classy and sassy.
That sounds a lot like you, Kirsten.
I know, right? Look, and
Yeah.
now I'm Kermit.
Oh, nice. I didn't even get a mug. I just had to go coffee this morning because, well, this episode will be airing in the evening. So, but for us right now, we're recording in the morning.
It's the morning, so we're
Mm-hmm.
allowed in case
Right.
any coffee police were out there.
Right. In case anybody's like, why aren't you drinking alcohol right now?
Bold of you to assume I didn't put Bailey's in mine.
Bold of you to assume there's no whiskey in this one.
Exactly.
You never know. So today, Kirsten, I am not excited at all, but we are going to be going through temple preparation class. Would you like
Yes,
to
I
tell the people what temple preparation class is and why we had to endure this BS?
of course. So I'm a little bit excited because temple preparation class might as well be called sit around and learn nothing class because that's essentially what it is.
Yes, we learned essentially zero things about the temple in temple preparation class.
Yeah, so temple prep class or temple preparation, just temple prep class, is where they would send you, I guess, to attend this class. Anybody who is going to be going through the temple,
For the first
excuse me,
time.
for the first time. But obviously, you'd gone, but well, not obviously. If you had gone before to do baptisms for the dead, that's not what this class is for. This class is specifically if you're about to go and get your endowments, initiatories, and perhaps being sealed if you're getting married. So that would be anybody going on a mission. They have to go through this before they go on their mission. Anybody that is about to get married, specifically women. There are a lot of times young women haven't had their endowments done just because they didn't go on a mission or whatever. So when you get married, you have to get that done. Or like in Megan's case, your husband had never been baptized, so you decided to go as an adult female,
Yeah.
correct?
So,
Okay.
yeah, so just to kind of rewind a little bit for the Nevermos who are probably super confused right now.
Yeah.
As we've talked about before on this show, there is a certain checklist that you have to check off in order to get into Mormon heaven. And the
Yes.
ultimate destiny is to go to the temple. Well, why is that? It's because in the temple, you make promises to God and you receive what people refer to as an endowment. And what that means is just It's an endowment of power and
Yes.
special blessings that you get in return for making these promises. But
Right.
even that is more information than we got when we were going to temple prep class.
Correct.
So when I was little, even when I was a teenager, a young woman, it was just an expectation that boys were going to go on a mission and that girls were
Yep.
going to get married to someone who had come back from a mission. Marry a returned
Yep.
missionary, that in the temple was the goal of every young woman in the world. Now, when I was that age, we didn't have temple prep class for young women or even for young missionaries, really. It was kind of
Really?
they like left it up
Oh,
to the
wow.
parents to kind of make sure that the boys knew what was going to go on in the temple, but they say here's the reason why it's such a big deal is because in the
Mhm.
temple they specifically instruct you not to talk about anything that happens in the temple outside of the temple.
Yep. Specifically, they
Sounds a
tell you
little
not
culty
to.
to me, Kirsten. How about you?
I think that's why I'm here right now, but
Yeah, I mean, that it should be a red flag to anybody that if you're going to go through a ceremony of some kind, a religious ceremony, and they're like, don't ever talk about this ceremony. Like, that's a red flag. Like, don't ever talk about it
huge.
except with the other people who've already gone through the ceremony. Should be a red flag.
And preemptively, because I know all of the true believing current members of the church are going to come in and say this, their motto is it's not secret, it's sacred.
That's right.
No,
It's too
no.
sacred to talk about.
There is nothing in the world that is too sacred. They'll say it is secret, it's not, or excuse me, it's sacred, it's not secret.
Right.
It's totally secret, and they're doing it secret because they don't want people to know how culty it is. There is
Right.
nothing in this entire world that is so sacred you can't talk about it outside of a very specific building in a very specific room, because that's the other thing with the temple. There is only one place you can talk about it, because in the locker room or the initiatory room or the endowment room, you are not supposed to talk at all. You're not supposed
If
to talk
you
to anybody else.
if you must talk,
If you whisper.
you should whisper.
They also tell you that. So the only place you can talk is the celestial room, which is at the very end of an over, when I went, 2-hour experience. So you're already mentally drained. You don't feel like talking. Again, that was my experience, but you're only allowed to talk about it in that one singular room. That should have been huge red flags and should be red flags to anybody in this situation.
Yes, and not to mention that in order to even get to that room, you have to pass a two-part interview process. You have to have a Mormon card that they scan. It's
Yeah.
it's a big secrecy thing, and you'll never be able to convince me. The reason Joseph Smith did not want people to talk about this outside the temple is because he didn't want anybody finding out that it is almost exactly the same as the Masonic ceremony. Yeah, so they would leave it up to the parents to teach the missionary or the young woman who was about to get married in the temple for the first time and knew nothing about the temple. They would leave it up to the parents to tell, and I guarantee you 100% my parents, if I had gone through the temple to get married to a Mormon man, I guarantee you they would not have said anything to me prior to going to the temple that day.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, I want to say it's abusive. It is. It's like it's
I think
abusive
so.
to put somebody, it's spiritually abusive to put somebody in a position where there's so much social pressure to do this thing and to take it all the way through to the end
Yeah.
without preparing somebody in advance for what it's going to be like or even explaining any part of it. And so I think the point of us going through the temple prep class is I guess I want to know from the Nevermos or from the Exmos who never went through the temple, when we get finished going through this temple prep manual, do you feel prepared to go to the temple and make promises to God?
The answer will be no. Spoiler alert.
You might think it will be yes, and I'll hold with you on that for a minute because when I went through the temple prep class, I was like, okay, I don't feel like I learned a lot, but there were a few
Same.
things, looking back on it, there were a few things that
Yeah.
were little tiny hints, but you wouldn't have known they were hints until after you go. So anyway, it's
No,
confusing.
I mean, it's almost like an escape room. Like you walk into the room. I mean, this is when you just
Oh
said
my
that, I was like,
God.
that's how it feels. Like you walk into an escape room and there's like numbers and a teddy bear laying on the floor and, a whiteboard and all of these things. And you're like, okay, what does this have to do with anything? Technically, yes, you could probably start piecing things together and figure out
Right.
how to get out. And
Right.
once you know, it seems so obvious.
Right.
But when you first walk in there, it's like, and I feel like that's kind of how you're describing the temple prep class, which I would agree with. Yes, they have things in there that, like, I remember when I went through, or I was preparing to get married, because I went through when I was getting married to my ex-husband, which I was older for it. I was 24 when I
That's
got
so
married. So
old, Kirsten.
I was I was older for a
You were.
woman going through, because I hadn't gone on a mission and I hadn't chosen to go through on my own prior to that.
Right.
So,
Most of my friends who were, my peers the same age as me got married anywhere from 18 to 25. That was
oh
pretty
yeah,
typical.
yeah.
Yep.
So, and my ex husband had never served a mission. So we actually went through the temple prep class together. But
Mm.
I remember, so my bishop told me if I read the Pearl of Great Price, it was all in there and I would fully understand.
Yeah, it's not.
I would
And you
call that
wouldn't.
a lying liar who lies.
That is a lying
That's
liar
all.
who lies. I mean, I don't have time right now to read the whole Pearl of Great Price, um, nor do you. But just suffice it to say that I had read the Pearl of Great Price many times before I had gone through the temple, and there was nothing in
Same.
there that would have prepared me for the actual ceremony. The
No,
movie,
not at all.
maybe some of the movie, but not the
Yeah,
actual ceremony. So anyway,
I
please
agree,
continue.
100%. No, that's all I was saying. I do quickly want to share a story from when I was an EFY counselor. Which, so, um, there was a young man. He was not in my group. Um, he was in one of my friends' groups. So he was like 14 or 15. And he had come to EFY, or his family had sent him to go to EFY, especially for youth. It's a week-long camp at a university generally. It's very culty and indoctrinating. And if anybody is familiar with Brad Wilcox, he was a frequent speaker there. I have stories on that.
He
Anyways, so
is
this,
a nasty man.
he is. And I knew him very well. So, this young man, his family had chosen to send him to this EFY camp because he was struggling with his testimony. And the reason he was struggling was because his older sibling had gone on a mission, left the church because felt it was very cult like, and told the younger brother about what happened in the temple ceremony. When the younger brother heard that, he was like, I'm out. This is a cult. I hate it. I'm done. And instead of listening to this young man and really understanding where he was coming from, he was told that his testimony was not strong enough yet to take all of that in. So he needed to go to EFY and go on a mission, and then he would understand. So,
But to go on a mission, you have to go through the temple.
exactly. So they wanted him to basically go and do the culty things.
Just,
So he
yeah.
would then accept the culty thing. The whole time, even when I was doing it, I was 19 or 20 when I was a counselor. And I didn't know anything about the temple ceremony at all. So I was like, oh my gosh, this poor young boy. But at the same time, I remember very much feeling concerned about him. Like if he had heard things that made him uncomfortable, why were they doubling down and forcing him more into it? Like I remember even
Yeah.
at that time feeling like if he is feeling wary of the church and scared, maybe don't send him to a sleepaway camp to further indoctrinate him and be surrounded by other adults. I mean, people were pulling him aside right and left, trying to talk to him about his testimony and talk to him about the temple and all of these things. And I remember seeing his face all week, just looking so sad. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I think about him a lot, even now. I mean, he's a grown man. He wasn't that much younger than me at the time, so he's got to be in his late 30s.
Yeah,
It just breaks my heart.
I
But
agree with you. And it makes me sad too. But I think also we're pointing to yet another reason why they don't want you talking about the temple ceremony outside the
yeah,
temple is because if they told us exactly everything that was going to happen in the temple, we might
we
start
wouldn't
getting
want to go.
ideas and thinking and asking questions. Because, when I did end up going, I
Yeah.
was 30, I think, when I
Uh-huh.
finally went through for the first time.
Yeah.
And I really do think if people had told me the entire ceremony beforehand, I would have had a lot of questions. And that's what they
Yeah.
don't want. They don't want you asking questions. They just want you blindly going through and doing it because a lot of us, if we did know about it beforehand, we wouldn't have done it. And
Oh
that's the
yeah.
whole thing. It's like a system that is set up to keep people trapped in it because my feeling when I was actually in the temple was
Hmm.
this is very weird. It doesn't make any sense to me. I can't believe that we're doing secret handshakes. But my mom did it. My sister did it. My
Yep.
brothers have both done it. My dad did it. My grandmother did it. My great grandmother, like, they've all done it. And how could they all be wrong? How could
Yeah.
none of them go through this? If something was really wrong with it, somebody would have said something before now. And there must be something wrong with me. Maybe I
Yeah.
just don't understand it yet. And the more,
Yeah.
and truly, what the leaders tell us is the more you go, the more you'll understand it. But what they really mean to say is the more you go, the more brainwashed you'll be, the more
Yes.
indoctrinated you'll be, the more you'll think it's normal.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the whole time they were doing the prayer circle, I was like,
This
and
is cool.
my dad, like the first time we went through, my dad pulled me into the prayer circle and I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. I did
No.
not want to do it. But I was like, okay, I guess I just am going to go with it.
Yeah.
And every single time they had the prayer circle after that, like every time I went, even when I was super faithful, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I just don't. It's
Yeah.
nope. And that's the part that you see if you've watched Under the Banner of Heaven, where they
Yes.
do show some of this temple ceremony. It's the one where
Yeah.
they're all standing around in a circle doing the same hand signs at the same time, and it is, and they're repeating the same words at the same time, and it is very, very culty.
It's weird. It's weird. And I know we're going to get to this at the end, what we wish had been in there. So I don't want to give everything away. But
Yeah.
one thing that I really do wish they would show all members of the church, even now, they should have to hear what the original ceremony was
Mhm.
or be told what they've cut out because they
Right.
have cut parts out. For those who don't know, and I do think there are probably some true believing Mormons that don't know,
Yeah.
they have cut a lot of it out, some of which include blood oaths
Yes.
and
Meaning,
that they would give their life and spill their blood in revenge for
if,
people taking the life of Joseph Smith.
well,
Or
and
if they reveal the secrets of the temple.
that's right.
Yes.
That's the whole
Yeah.
thing, is that
Yeah.
the concept of blood atonement was talked about widely by Brigham Young, who was the second president of the Corporation of the Church, which meant that there were certain sins which could only be repented for with your own blood being spilled on the ground. And Brigham
Yep.
Young had a group of people, as did Joseph Smith, who were sort of
Yep.
vigilante Mormons who would go around and they would go
Oh,
and
okay.
they would go around instituting blood atonement for the people
Yes.
they believed they were literally judge, jury, and executioner. This is all a rabbit hole for
Yes.
as soon as we're done with the temple, we're going to blood atonement.
Yes,
100%.
we
That's
are.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we'll talk
Yeah.
about this at the end, but that's one thing that I wish someone had sat me down and told me what the ceremony was beforehand, because I didn't find out until close to when I was leaving, and I lost it. I was like, this was ever. I remember I even went to my parents. We were having dinner because, of course, why not ruin family dinner? I was like, you guys said this, you did that, and they just sat there. I was like, okay, got. I thought the ceremony was weird, but that, like, I don't. Being who I was at the time, I probably still would have done it and been like, this is weird and awful and I hate it, but I still would have done it.
Yeah.
I would like to think that as soon as I was told to do this, show symbols of cutting my own throat and slicing open my bowels, I would be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
We're getting
Anyways,
into the ceremony, which
right.
we'll do a whole thing on that in another episode.
But we're doing the prep
But this
right
is
now.
we're just trying to prepare to go to the temple. But the reason that this is so outrageous to us is because of what we found out later. And they
Yeah.
didn't tell us this in prep class. And so
No.
we're going into this,
Yes.
with the idea. Kirsten and I have now been through the temple many times,
Yes.
and we've learned a lot about the history of the church and how previous ceremonies were conducted. And it's outrageous to us that what we're about to show you is all that they told us,
Yes.
because this is what high control groups do. They breadcrumb you. They give you little tiny
Yes.
pieces of information, because if they told you everything at once, you would just leave.
Yes.
So this is one of the tactics of high control groups, is breadcrumbing. And I think people
Yes.
don't really give this enough attention, this concept, because it's
I
like
agree.
telling you just enough to keep you wanting a little bit more, and knowing
Yeah.
there is a cabin full of, there is a, what do you call it? A house. There is a house made of candy at the end of the trail. But for right now, all you get is little breadcrumbs. That's it.
But the witch is also there. And I promise you,
Right.
in Mormonism, the witch is still
The
there.
witch is still there. Okay, so what we're about to show you is the lesson manual for the temple prep class. And this is a little bit of a behind the scenes peek, because it's not the manual necessarily that the members would be looking at. There used to be a
Right.
specific book for that. I burned mine, so I don't have it. So we're going to show you the lesson manual. So you'll get to see what the church tells the teachers to talk about in the temple
Yes.
prep class. Okay.
Every class that anyone teaches gets a specific manual. That's one of the reasons, like, we have the children's manual that we talk about. Every class has a manual with lesson plans for the teachers. So that's what we're looking at.
So this, again, if you go to churchofjesuschrist.org, it's not mormon.org or lds.org anymore, just Church of Jesus Christ, because they're doing a rebranding thing that they're not telling anyone about. I'm going to keep saying it. You can actually just look this up. This is available. It's publicly available. Anybody can see it. I'm always going to recommend that people click on all of the footnotes all the way through, because that's where they hide stuff they don't really want you to see. So it says, I just want to read this pacing suggestion. These lessons could be taught at any point in the school year or during any week in the Come Follow Me pacing. Specific possibilities are listed below for each lesson. But what they do now, they didn't do this again when I was a youth, but what they do now is, if you have already graduated from high school, usually the next thing they want you to do is go to a temple prep class. If you're a young
Really?
man, yes.
I didn't know that.
If you're a young man, now that they have lowered the age for missionaries to 18, a lot of missionaries are working on their paperwork to put in to apply for a mission while they're still in high school.
Yes.
And so a lot of this would happen, like on Sunday nights, they would do a temple prep class. So in addition to everything else that you're doing church-wise, you're going to 2 hours of church on Sunday. And then if you are a young man who's about to graduate high school or about to turn 18, Sunday nights you would go to temple prep class also.
Which is what I believe. You go to church all day, then you go to this class at night. You are spending all of your time being told that the temple is going to be this miraculous, life-changing, amazing, wonderful, beautiful, spiritual, life-altering experience. And it's not.
I kind of
So
want to put up a poll on Reddit to ask how many people came out of the temple feeling traumatized rather than feeling peaceful.
I would want to know what the true believing members think, because
Mm,
I want to know after your first experience, not after going years and years and years and hearing it,
right,
after your very first experience, how did you feel? Truly, not what you wrote in your journal,
right,
not what
right,
you told your family, not what you told your future spouse or your mission president or your best friend. How did you actually feel walking out of the temple? Did you feel confused? Did
right.
you feel a little bit scared? Did you feel tired?
Oh,
How did your body
yes.
feel?
Oof. Yeah. All of
I
those
want to
things.
know. I
Yep.
want to know.
All right. Um, so temple prep. Throughout time, the Lord has commanded his people to build temples. In temples, we learn of Jesus Christ and make sacred covenants. Overall, would you say that that's really what we do in temples? Do we learn about Jesus Christ? I guess I would say
No.
I would say I did not learn, well,
I didn't learn anything new.
I would say
I don't
5%
think.
of what I learned in the temple was something new about Jesus Christ.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't think I learned anything new. I mean,
Well, okay, so let me just this is
I
it's
feel like I learned new things about Adam and Eve and Satan,
yes.
but I wouldn't say I learned anything new about Jesus Christ.
I guess that's
I
fair because
knew he helped build the world. I knew he, the things they talk about with Jesus specifically, I feel like I already knew.
yeah, true.
I don't know. That's just me.
Okay, so now they are telling one of the covenants we make is to live the law of consecration, which for Mormons that just means that what they say in the temple is that you promise to dedicate everything with which the Lord has blessed you or with which he may bless you. And that does very much mean your house, your car, your income, your family, your children,
Your
everything God has
talents.
given you. Your
I was told it
talents,
was also
yes,
your talents.
yes,
So,
including your
Megan,
time and talents.
we are sharing our time and talents with everyone here.
That's right, we are.
So, we're trying. We're
We're
trying to
living the
do
law
our
of
part.
consecration. Yeah, which is why they justify not paying people for all of the free labor that they give the churches because we made a promise in the temple to give our time and talents and our very lives if necessary to build up the
Yes.
kingdom of God on the earth.
The
So,
fundamentalist, the FLDS church, which for people who are never Mormon, you'll see that's like Warren Jeff's sect of Mormonism. They live this in everyday life to the letter. So that
yeah.
means they have one central bank that you put all your money in, and then the church doles out to you what you can have or what you need. They
Yep.
have a centralized like food kitchen. Everyone works for each other free of charge, basically goes to the bank. But I believe that the FLDS sect follows Mormon doctrine much closer than the modern day LDS church does. So
Yeah, I think they live up
that's
to
what it
their
is.
name of being the fundamental church of Jesus
Right.
Christ. Like they believe in living the church teachings as close to the way Joseph Smith taught as possible, and that's basically
Right.
what they do.
Right.
So it says following information provides you with ideas of what you may need to prepare in advance for each lesson. First, Jesus Christ is at the center of all temple worship. Okay, I'm going to push back on that because again,
Me too.
talking about Jesus, so maybe we didn't learn much new about Jesus Christ, but I would say in the entirety of the temple ceremony that you go through from beginning to end, I would
Hmm.
say less than 5% of it is really about Jesus.
I would agree. It's about Satan and Adam and Eve.
And it's also about getting into heaven.
Yeah, and getting into heaven. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus is really not in it at all.
Yeah,
Truly.
but what they tell us though, they harp on this over and over. This is the house of the Lord. Like we worship Jesus Christ, we worship God in the temple. That's what they tell
Yeah.
us the purpose of the temple is, but that's not really the purpose. The purpose of the temple is Number one, to indoctrinate you, and number two, to teach you what to do to get into heaven. That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
basically
all it
it.
is. Not basically,
Um,
that is it.
yeah. So, student preparation. Encourage students to consider the significance of the two phrases that are written on each temple: holiness to the Lord and the house of the Lord. Now, um, they used to tell us that we shouldn't get tattoos because it's like putting graffiti on the temple of the Lord, because the temple is, our body is the temple, and we shouldn't put graffiti on the temple. But carved into
Whoopsie.
every temple is the phrase
Whoopsie.
holiness to the Lord and the house of the Lord. Isn't that sort of like graffiti? I mean, it's the same thing. A lot of people have tattoos that have a message of some kind, right? Wording of some kind. So isn't that what
Yes.
this is? Like you're taking a phrase that is important to you and you're carving it into the temple. So don't be hypocrites, okay?
I
Just because
just want
it's
to say my body, my temple, and I can
that's right.
decorate it how I want.
Exactly.
I
Doesn't have
also would
to.
like to say that my very first tattoo I got while I was a BYU student. So,
There you go. So consider the significance of these two phrases: holiness to the Lord and the house of the Lord. Like that tells me that what you've told me in the past is what's important to you, is that this is God's house, this is Jesus's. It's actually, they tell us that this is Jesus's house, and they do tell us that Jesus comes to
yeah.
his house, and they do tell us that like Jesus is not going to appear in an empty temple. He's going to come to the house when it's full, when there are people, actively doing the work and everything.
Yeah.
And images to display. These are suggestions that the church says to the teacher. This is what you should display: youth partaking the sacrament, youth attending church, full-time missionaries, the tabernacle in Moses' time. I'm going to
So
look
just
that
to
shit
be
up.
clear, they want to show people throughout their entire life getting ready to go to the temple. Is that correct, Megan? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Thanks, I
So
ate it.
I'm going to go to a picture of the tabernacle in Moses' time. So this is not an LDS site. I just want to point that out. But the tabernacle is talked about in the Bible, and here
Yes.
is an image of what they believed that looked like. We had the courtyard, and then there was an altar to give burnt offerings, and then there's the holy place, and I believe this maybe is the Ark of the Covenant in here, candlesticks right here, and then this is the most holy, oh, sorry, the incense altar, and then the most holy, where only
Oh,
the priest was allowed to go only one day a year. And so this is not dissimilar to the Mormon temple. If you look at this as like this is where you come in, and there's a place where you give your temple recommend or your Mormon card, and there are three rooms. The
mhm.
first room is like the creation room. The second room is like the next level of heaven, and then the third room at the back of the temple is the most holy room, and that's the one where all the stained glass and the chandeliers and everything are. So it's so Mormons believe that they patterned the floor plan of the Mormon temple after this that was in the Bible. They try to tie
Yeah.
their temple worship back to having biblical origins.
But
Right. Oh, and also they wanted us to display a picture of the Nephite temple in Bountiful. So this is Mormon artists pretending like they know what the temple would have looked like in Nephi's time. So I'm going to pull up a
so
February 4th, 2020, new archaeological discovery sheds light on Nephi's temple. Book of Mormon reports that
okay.
Nephi built a temple after the manner of the Temple of Solomon. Save it were not built of so many precious things. Um, I
Could
really
he
just,
not find enough metal and gold and copper? According
here's,
to our book, he did. So,
yeah. So this is an aerial view of it with the proposed location of the temple highlighted. Um,
wait, did you say the proposed location?
no. It says like they're positing, they're taking this archaeological find, and they're
Oh, okay. I get what you're
speculating
saying.
that if this were
That's where it
Nephi's
was.
temple, this is where it would have been.
Okay, I get it.
Um, I'm just sort of I'm skimming through this. Yeah, so it says it's unclear who actually constructed this site. We don't even know if it was a temple or not. But they
Wow.
have parallels, and so Mormons always want to put their own template on these parallels. But all I'm going to say is this was written in 2020. You better believe that if they had actual ties to say scientifically, to scientifically prove that this actually was a temple that was built by
Be
Nephi's people,
everywhere.
they would be shouting it from the effing rooftops, and this is the first I've heard of it. And
Yeah.
so when we say that there's no archaeological evidence for what happened in the Book of Mormon, we mean there's no archaeological evidence for what happened in the Book
Zero.
of Mormon.
This amount, which is zero.
Zero amount from scientists that can conclusively say that yes, this archaeological evidence points to what happened in the Book of Mormon.
These are actual archaeologists. These are not made up ones like Indiana Jones, even though he was actually a real person too. And I have 3 documentaries to prove it.
That's right.
So,
Okay, now it tells us to watch the video, The Temple and Your Spiritual Foundation. It's 19 minutes long. It says to watch from 427 to 503. So let's go and do it.
Sisters,
Blech.
I'm grateful to be with you this morning to share the feelings of my heart. As you know, we are performing major renovations on the historic Salt Lake Temple. This complex project includes major reinforcement of its original foundation, which has served well for more than a century, but this temple must stand much longer. In late May, I inspected the progress on this massive project. I thought you would appreciate seeing what my wife Wendy and I saw. I think you will see why the hymn, How Firm a Foundation, has come to have new meaning for us. We are looking at the original foundation of the Salt Lake Temple. I'm standing in an area beneath what was the garden room. As I examine the craftsmanship of this entire building, I marvel at what the pioneers accomplished. I'm totally in awe when I consider that they built this magnificent temple with only tools and techniques available to them more than a century ago. These many decades later, however, if we examine the foundation closely, we can see the effects of erosion, gaps in the original stonework, and varying stages of stability in the masonry. Now, as I witness what modern engineers, architects, and construction experts can do to reinforce that original foundation, I'm absolutely amazed. Their work is astonishing. The foundation of any building, particularly one as large as this one, must be strong and resilient enough to withstand earthquakes, corrosion, high winds, and the inevitable settling that affects all buildings. The complex task of strengthening, now underway, will reinforce this sacred temple with a foundation that can and will stand the test of time. We are sparing no effort to give this venerable temple, which had become increasingly vulnerable, a foundation that will withstand the forces of nature into the millennium. In like manner, it is now time that we each implement extraordinary measures, perhaps measures we have never taken before, to strengthen our personal spiritual foundations.
Okay, this is, I'm on 2x speed. I'm going to slow it down now because it's getting to the point where
Unprecedented
they wanted us to share this in the lesson.
times call for unprecedented measures. My dear brothers and sisters, these are the latter days. If you and I are to withstand the forthcoming perils and pressures, it is imperative that we each have a firm spiritual foundation built upon the rock of our Redeemer, Jesus Christ. So I ask each of you, how firm is your foundation? And what reinforcements to your testimony and understanding of the gospel are needed? The temple lies at the center of strengthening our faith and spiritual fortitude because the Savior and his doctrine are the very heart of the temple. Everything taught in the temple, through instruction and through the Spirit, increases our understanding of Jesus Christ. His essential ordinances bind us to him through sacred priesthood covenants. Then, as we keep our covenants, he endows us with his healing, strengthening power. And oh, how we will need
I
his
disagree.
Okay, so I'm just curious now. I would love to get some feedback in comments or in chat after listening to that portion of what the former president of the corporation said. Do you now feel like you have a good understanding of why they want you to go to the temple? Because I don't. Basically, just what it says to me is basically like you're not going to be able to put up with what's coming if you don't have the special power that is given to you by going to the temple. That's what I understood then. That's what I
Same.
understand now. And I still am nowhere near close to understanding what's actually going to happen when I get there.
Agreed. I also really hate, well, when I went through the temple, or excuse me, before I went through the temple, I truly thought I was going to go and have all of this knowledge opened up to me about God's plan and about being more righteous and like like he said that you would learn more about Jesus and understand the eternal plan, right?
Right.
So I truly thought I was going to go in there and get all of this knowledge and answers to things that I had been curious about and putting on the shelf and wanting to know about, which we've talked about many times over, that I had so many questions, as did you. I
Mm-hmm.
thought I would go to the temple and I would understand. Like, this is what I was waiting for. This was going to give me the understanding. And I left with more questions than answers.
Right.
Like, all
Right.
this temple prep class did for me was build me up to thinking like, this is the last step. You're so close. You're about to get it. You're going to understand. Everything is going to be worth it because you're going to go to the temple and you're going to get it.
Yeah. And what I,
No,
yeah, and that did not happen. And also,
no.
what I was told is that if I went to the temple before my former spouse did, that my light and knowledge would increase exponentially, and essentially we would no longer be on the same page, and it would be dangerous to my marriage. That's
Wow.
what I was told by my bishop. And so that's why he counseled me to wait until my spouse was ready to go through the temple so we could go through together. When I feel like I look back on it now, and I think what he was
Yeah.
really saying is that if you're wearing temple garments and your spouse isn't, he's not going to be on board with it for obvious reasons. What should be obvious reasons is like, why are you
Yeah.
wearing that? I'm not going
Yeah.
to get into it right now. We'll get into that later. But then also, I felt like he was telling me, like, you're going to go through this ceremony where you're going to be doubling down on your beliefs, and he's not, and he's not going to understand why you're so much more committed, which, to be
Yes.
fair, that is sort of what happened.
That is 100% what happens. From my experience, yes, I went through the temple in order to get married to my ex-husband. But what I did not understand, and what I do have a lot of compassion for my ex-husband, is we went to the temple and it made him much more weary of the church and it made me double down. So I feel very deeply for that sentiment, Megan. Um, because it took me, a long time out of the church to realize that's what happened. But it was a huge part of contention in our marriage because I remember him as a joke, like calling me my new name, which is Deborah,
Hmm.
outside of the temple, and me getting really upset because I was like, we're not supposed to talk about that outside of the temple. And it
Right.
started a huge argument. He even, he has ADHD and he couldn't remember the temple ceremony. So he
Hmm.
looked it up online on Ex Mormon Reddit or something, and he printed it out so he could practice it. And I got really mad at him and told him he was supporting, ex Mormon content, which what a hypocrite I am. I know. Come for me in the comments. I'm fine. It gives us engagement. But it started really big fights because I doubled down and he got really confused and was like, I don't know what this is. This is weird. This is, not what I wanted. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that very deeply and I do have compassion for him and frankly for my former self because I didn't know what to do with that situation either,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yes, can we please normalize forgiving ourselves for what we did when we were brainwashed or when we were in survival mode or when we were just
Yes.
hanging on with our fingernails trying to make our lives work? Like all of us, let's just practice some self-compassion. We didn't
I'm
know.
working on it all of the time because I
Yeah.
still, Megan and I have even talked about trying really hard to accept that we were literally doing our best in the circumstances that we had. And
Yeah.
we didn't have anyone showing us a different path, because it's a very uncommon situation, especially for the family unit that we grew up in. Both of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. So I don't want to get all like, oh, whatever you want to say, hokey or whatever, but I hope everyone feels that same compassion for themselves. I work on it every single day, but I do want to give my past self a huge hug and say, I'm so sorry that was not a good place for you to be mentally, because you were trying your best. And honestly, I've wanted to more than once sit down with my ex-husband and tell him I'm really sorry for the way I doubled down on things, even though he probably wouldn't accept it and probably wouldn't believe me either way. But I do think that the church sets people up to be in really horrific situations like that, because you either get freaked out by that cult mentality or cult ritual you just went through, or you double down. And those two things cannot coexist. They just can't.
Yeah. And now that we know better, we're doing better, and we're trying our best to erase our Mormon brain cells, and erase, like, it's not even just the brain cells, it's like erasing the habits and patterns of thought that we had when we were in the church. I do want to play just a little bit more of this video. I just think that I think it's really telling. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we can cut some of this out if we need to.
In the days ahead. We have been promised that if we are prepared, we shall not fear. This assurance has profound implications today. The Lord has declared that despite today's unprecedented challenges, those who build their foundations upon Jesus Christ and have learned how to draw upon his power need not succumb to the unique anxieties of this era. Temple ordinances and covenants are ancient. The Lord instructed Adam and Eve to pray, make covenants.
This is something that nobody believes but the Mormons, by the way.
Yes.
And offer sacrifices. Indeed.
So in case you missed it, because I interrupted him right in the middle, the Lord instructed Adam and Eve to pray, build altars, and make covenants and make sacrifices.
And I think our very first FHE, maybe a bit our second, anyways, our very first FHE, I found on a Mormon website that they said Adam and Eve were also instructed to have FHE. If you remember.
Yes, that's right.
So,
that's right. Yeah,
Mormons believe some weird stuff about Adam and Eve, and that is particular to Mormonism.
It is.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Whenever the Lord has had a people on the earth who will obey his word, they have been commanded to build temples. The standard works are replete with references to temple teachings, clothing, language, and more.
I feel like that's BS, because I don't see anywhere. I mean, okay, here's what Mormons do. They take the Bible and they take something that was probably meant to mean a different thing, and they apply the template of Mormonism to it. And so we'll get into this in the next step in the temple ceremony, the initiatory, but they actually quote something from the book of Exodus where they apply a Mormon lens to it, and they try to make it seem like, oh, we've always had a holy garment. Anyway, that's just, I'm done with this. Let's move on to the rest of the temple.
Going along with that, in the Articles of Faith, it literally says, we believe the Bible to be the word of God as long as it is translated correctly. And by that, not saying we look back at the Greek or Roman version or whatever and translate the words correctly. They believe that part where it says we believe the Bible to be the word of God as long as it is translated correctly, meaning Joseph Smith told us what it meant.
Yeah,
there is literally a Joseph Smith translation included in the King James Version of the Bible that Mormons are required or asked to read from.
Yes, exactly. And here's the thing that I think is just so I just am internally screaming right now, because Joseph Smith told everybody that he was retranslating the entire Bible. The entire
There's like
thing.
5 scriptures.
There are just a few scriptures that he retranslated,
Yes.
some of which confirm that there was a Joseph prophesied of in the Bible who was going to restore the gospel. How convenient that is. Here's the other thing.
What?
Apologists for polygamy are going to say, how is it that Joseph Smith, like if he had all these wives and he was having relations with all of them, how did he even have time? Well, here's how he had time. He told people he was retranslating the entire Bible, but he was really out diddling your wife and your daughter. That's what he was doing.
That's what he was doing.
I said what I said.
I put a stamp of approval upon it.
Thank you.
The Ex Mormon Snark stamp.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So guys, you don't this is something like, I know that my husband, who's never Mormon, is blown away by this. When I told him, I'm like, yeah, Joseph Smith, like there are footnotes in the King James version of the Bible given to Mormons.
Yeah.
That it says JST, Joseph Smith translation. And then it will say what the verse actually meant or what it was actually supposed to be. And it's always something crazy, different. I mean, not completely crazy, but you know what I'm saying. I feel like it's not coming out right.
It's something that
changes it. Right. It confirms Mormon belief, Mormon doctrine, or it will relate to the Book of Mormon or relate to something that Joseph has said.
Right. It reaffirms something that Joseph Smith taught that benefits his narrative and that benefits his ability to be in charge of everything and to do and say whatever he wants. And Mormon apologists will say, they'll get into this black and white thinking. If you present them with an argument that feels like cognitive dissonance to them, where they're like, I don't want to consider the fact that Joseph was just making it up when he retranslated the Bible. So they will revert to black and white thinking, and they will say things like, either Joseph Smith was a prophet or he was not. And I believe he was.
He was not.
He was not.
Oh, sorry. He was not.
He was not.
Just so to be clear.
So what they're basically saying is that any of the problematic behavior that you're going to bring up about Joseph Smith, I'm going to dismiss the evidence for that because I believe he was a prophet, and a prophet would never do that. And so I'm just going to say, you're making it up. It's anti-Mormon lies.
Right.
And we did it too. We did it to ourselves too. It's with all of our heroes, okay? We do it with all of the people that we revere and venerate. It's like, we don't want to believe anything bad about them because we just have this idealized view of our idols, and we don't want to believe that they're actual human beings. And that's why when, that's why there's so much fighting back and forth when there's a controversy about somebody having an affair or blah, 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 whatever. It's like, I'm going to ignore all that evidence because I don't want to believe that I'm a good person and I would never have an affair. So I don't want to believe that one of my heroes that I looked up to is capable of that behavior either. And I did it. I'm just going to say for myself, I did it with Joseph Smith too.
I did too.
I believed that he was a prophet of God. I believed he was also a human being, so he was capable of making mistakes. But I also believed the apologetic thing that they tell us all the time, that the prophet will never lead the church astray. So he was never going to make a big enough mistake that would be detrimental to the spirituality of millions of people. Yes, Kirsten.
Can I tell you?
I'd like to hear your comment.
My biggest apologist argument with my logical brain, I literally, with my whole heart, believed that Joseph Smith died so young because he had started to stray. It was not because I thought he was being persecuted or martyred or any of these things. I truly thought God let him die because he had started committing polygamy. And I hate, now as I'm saying this aloud, please, Lord above, do not let any true believing Mormon come here and say that I know the truth or something. But that's in my heart of hearts. I truly believed that's why Joseph was killed. I thought God let him die because he had strayed from what God's teachings were. I also thought the same for Brigham Young. I was like, he was taken, at an early age, not because people died young or anything like that. I really believed Joseph Smith was killed because he had been doing all of these things against God's wishes. And that was my apologetic mindset that I had for a few years. Granted, it didn't last very long. I very shortly thereafter left because it was building up. But do you see how my brain was literally doing somersaults and
Right.
jump rope and
Right.
acrobatics trying to
Yeah.
make this make sense when I realized this was a bad person hurting people? And I was like, well, exactly. When he started hurting people, God let him die. He had to remove him from the earth. That is what
Yeah.
I truly believed.
Yeah, I feel like we're at Mary Lou Retton level of
Yes.
gymnastics, mental
Yes.
gymnastics at that point.
That is 100% true. And I love that you made that reference.
Oh my gosh.
This
Okay,
is
I'm old.
fun.
All right, so
Moving along.
thanks, Russell, and goodbye. Making temple worship a lifelong pursuit is a big deal to the LDS Church because they want you to continue adhering to all of
Yep.
the things that you have to do in order to get a temple recommend. They did change it from renewing your recommend every year to renewing it every 2 years, but they still want you coming and checking in with someone else so that someone else can determine whether or not you're worthy to get into the temple. And they want you to go to the temple for your whole life because that also means you'll be paying tithing for your entire life. And it also means you're going to continue to re-indoctrinate yourself every single time you go to the temple. I can't tell you.
Especially, sorry, Megan, I was just
ahead.
going to say, especially when you're going through very hard things.
Yes.
How many
Yes.
times, Megan, I know you were, when you were going through something very difficult, life-changing even, trying to make a decision, and they
Yeah.
would tell you, go to the temple.
Yep.
So when you're in extremely vulnerable, hard time of your life, they want you to go and sit through their indoctrination.
Right. And sit in the celestial room and pray to God because we all know that when you're in there with away from the noise of the world, right? Things are so noisy out there in the world and you just want a peaceful space to sit.
Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Feel the word of God.
So glad.
They want you to say your prayers in there because then you're closer to God. You've just gone through this purifying temple ritual. And, they want you sitting in there. And so but basically what you're doing is, again, it's confirmation bias. It's like the thoughts you're already having and you're praying to God saying, is this the right thing? And if you get an answer in the temple, it's way more consequential. And I can't tell you how many times I heard people like get up on open mic Sunday and say, I went to the temple fasting and praying and I received this answer when I was in the temple. And so therefore I am going to live my entire life by that answer that I got because I know it came to me when I was in the house of the Lord.
Who does that remind you of, Megan? Maybe people going to the temple, fasting and praying and being told to do things that maybe God might not have said? Megan, does this resonate?
It reminds me of my dumb cousin, okay? You said it. This is where we get crazy people doing crazy things because they went to the temple and they believed that God told them to do it. And they believed that they were not astray. They believed they were doing the very, very most righteous thing because they were in the temple.
That right there too. They seriously tell you, even in the temple prep class, to go to the temple as often as you can.
Yep.
So if you are a stay-at-home mom with children at school, going to the temple 5 times a week.
To be fair, Kirsten, in all of my history in Mormondom, Lori's literally the only person I've ever known of that has gone to the temple literally every day.
Same, which is why I think it was a big red flag to people too, because they're like, the temple's not that fun.
And it's honestly, it's not fun at all. So to go every single day is just brainwashing you even more. And I think people who maybe there are some people out there who have gone to the temple every day that now they're like, I'm not admitting that because I don't want to be lumped in with those crazies.
I mean, honest to God, if you're going 5 days a week, that truly is a sign of mental illness.
I think it is. Yeah, it's a sign
of religious. It would be like someone staying up every single night or only getting 2 hours of sleep at night. It's kind of, to me, I would put it in that same basket because it really is very unhealthy and outside of the norm because the temple ceremonies are so intense and so long.
Right.
That if you're choosing to spend your time that way, there is something greatly out of balance in your mind that makes that seem okay.
Yeah, out of balance is a great way to put it. It's religious OCD. It's like Muslims
Yes.
saying that they're going to pray 5 times a day, and an ultra conservative Muslim saying, well, if 5 times a day is good, then 10 times a day is better.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
it's like sort of consumes your life. And I really feel like that's what
Right.
Lori was saying is like, oh, they said we should go once a month. Well, then I'm going to go once a week. Well, if once a week is good, then 5 times a week is even better. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well,
And
also, if you're being told or you're feeling like when you're there, you're seeing spiritual beings or spiritual people talking to you, and that only happens in the temple, like all of those things to me, even outside, like if someone came to me and told me they were going to the temple 5 days a week and they felt like Jesus was talking to them, even in my full belief of the church, I would still be like, have you seen a psychiatrist
right.
recently?
Exactly. And that it's also this sort of addictive feeling when
Yes.
you're on this
Yeah.
spiritual high. And I can imagine if things are not good in the rest of your life, but in the temple you feel this spiritual high,
Yes.
I could see people wanting to go more and more frequently.
Yeah.
And it also went along with Lori's narrative of, I am a special spiritual being with a special mission from God. So, of course, when I go to the temple, I'm going to see Moroni and I'm going to see Nephi, who I was married to
Yeah.
in a past life, and I'm going to see Jesus.
I thought she was
And
married to Moroni.
no,
Was she
you're
married to
right.
Nephi too?
I'm sorry. Nephi performed the ceremony where she was married to
Married to
Moroni.
Moroni. Which I happen to have a picture, which you can see this handsome devil right
Oh,
here.
that's right. Moroni. Can you get there you go.
There we go.
Yeah. He had a bit of a mullet. Back in the day when he was burying those plates that were way too heavy. His arms
He
would have
did.
broken off
He
if he was
did.
holding those golden plates.
But look how good he is at digging holes.
He's great at it, apparently. And apparently, he built a
There we
pretty
go.
sturdy little stone box there. That's a pretty neat looking box.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Making temple worship a
Yes.
lifelong pursuit. I feel like we've beaten that one to death. You could invite students to ask a family member or church leader how they've been blessed by attending the temple. I feel like that's all Mormons talk about all the time is how they've been
Oh,
blessed by
yeah.
attending the temple.
Yeah,
So
that is.
I don't want to watch Gathering the Family of God, but I do want to click on it. Okay, it's President Henry be crying. He's going to cry in this. Spoiler alert.
Always.
They want us to watch from 1516 to 44. So we'll just say family history, blah, blah, blah.
Which
Oh
you
my
guys got a
God.
taste of in our last video talking about doing family history. So you could go to the temple and baptize the dead people.
I feel like maybe we do need to watch this and you'll understand why. Hang
My
on.
dear brothers and sisters,
I'm going to fast forward.
I rejoice at the opportunity to be with you.
I bet
and
you do,
sisters.
Henry. Can
In
we call him
addition,
Hank?
many youth have
Let's call
Can
him
we call-
Hank from now on.
Hank? Yeah, Hank Irene.
Hank.
Yeah.
Hank be crying.
Hank be crying.
discovered that giving of their time to do family history research and temple work has deepened their testimony of the plan of salvation. It has increased the influence of the Spirit in their lives and decreased the influence of the adversary. It has helped them feel closer to their families and closer to the Lord Jesus Christ. They have learned that this work saves not just the dead, it saves all of us. The youth have caught the vision admirably. Now their parents need to catch up. There are now many people who have accepted baptism in the spirit world because of the work done by the youth.
Oh, that's so great. Good to hear. Good to hear.
This is reverse indoctrination where they're saying like the youth get it, they understand it, and they're like, Mom and Dad, I want to go to the temple every week, and Mom and Dad are like, not again. And so now it's like revert. It's like, listen to your children. They know what they're talking about. They've been brainwashed better than you have. So they're
Out of the
now,
mouths of babes. Yeah.
yeah.
And they are waiting for other ordinances that only adults can perform in temples in this world. The work of gathering Heavenly Father's family is not just for young people, and it is not just for grandparents. It is for everyone. We are all gatherers. This is the work of our generation.
Wait a second. He just said we are all
Hey!
gatherers. We are all gatherers. Not just
Yeah.
7 of us. I'm sorry.
Oh my God! Megan! So good. At the temple, I blurred their faces, but when he was saying how it like brings families closer together, when I would get together with my family that lived out of state, we always went to the temple so we could all be there together. Can you see it? I know I have the ring light there.
Oh, yes, I can see it.
You can
That's
tell
sweet.
like my hair is wet because we just did baptisms.
Yep.
But so when he was like, it brings families together. Yes, we do believe that it brought people from the other side, ancestors or whatever, that hadn't had the chance to get baptized. But also I believe in a very literal sense, it was like, go to the temple as a family together because you're going to be together in heaven. It was this very like, at least for my family, it was very, this is the only place we can all be together because my brother had passed.
Right.
And so when we were together, we always went and tried to do a session at the temple together, even in my adult years.
Yeah.
So.
And also, whenever I would go visit my sister, when I was in the church, we would go to the temple together. And I remember we had one day, we had like an entire Saturday to ourselves, which was very rare because she has 7 children and I have 6. And it was rare for us to have time together. And so what did we do with our time? We decided to go to as many temples in the valley as we could. And I think we made it to 5 temples in one day. And we went and did initiatory services, which we'll talk about in our next episode. But we went and did initiatories in 5 of the temples that were like there close enough in the Salt Lake Valley to go to. And when I look back on that, I think it was a sweet time because it was just the 2 of us, and we were both doing something that we felt was important. We felt like it was almost like if we had decided to go do a service project that day, like if we had decided to go serve in a soup kitchen or something. That's the way we looked at it. And so I don't hate that. You know, I don't hate that we took an entire Saturday to do that together because we really felt that what we were doing was serving people and we were doing it together. And it was a bonding experience for us. But I
feel sad about some of those times that we went and did just like temple work together as a family. So much of the temple you're not allowed to talk in, or you can't be around someone else. Like when you were saying the initiatory specifically is a very individualized process.
Right.
What about all that time you guys could have been together? You could have been talking. You could have been laughing. You could have been in a place where, you know, let's say you went to brunch or you got your nails done after. Obviously, that's all, whatever. You could have gone on a walk together, sat outside. All of that time you could have been talking and really connecting versus sitting in a place where you couldn't talk if you did. It's in whispers.
Right. Being isolated together, but isolated.
Yeah, it's the same as like, yes, you're doing a service or whatever. Like, say you go do a service project, you're probably going to be separated. So it's like you're together but separate. I personally wish I had more spent that time talking about how was your week? How was the last month? How was the last couple months that we haven't been able to sit together? How is your marriage going? If you want to talk about that, what is something new? Like I say all the time, one thing that makes me sad is I feel like I don't really know my sisters as adults because so much of our time when we were together was doing church things. And now that I'm not a part of that, when we spend time together, it does feel a little bit awkward. We don't on a lot of things because we don't know each other as adults. And how do you fix that once you're already moved through it? So much of your time together was focused around religion. And even now, so much of their life is focused around religion, that it kind of feels like I can't connect with them on a deep level because I don't have that specific thing to relate to anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
They don't work outside the home. They can't relate to my career.
Right.
I don't go to church on Sundays. I can't talk to them about what was said in last general conference, which is something they literally build their entire lives around. It's just very difficult. So I don't know.
agree
That's
with
what
you.
brings me sadness. And, I hope that you guys have found other ways since then. But that is something that I have a lot of sadness around personally.
Yeah. Thinking back on the times my sister and I have spent together, the times I love the most is when we are just taking a walk together, because then we can talk about how's it going? How are you
Right.
feeling? What are you
Right.
struggling with that you can't do in the temple? And so those
Right.
I think the last time that I saw my sister, we get so very little time, just her and me, where we can talk
Right.
about things from our past, from our childhood, that we can't talk about in front of our children, that we need to
Yeah.
unpack and we need to connect over, and we need to say, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling with this? And
Yes.
so, yeah, you're right. Like, it would have been much better for us to spend that entire day talking about those things rather than, we did have lunch together. We did, whatever, along with the
Yeah.
temple attendants. But the amount of time we spent in a place where we had to be silent and isolated, it's different than just spending the day together. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Working on my family,
This is what I wanted to say
His Holy Spirit.
right here.
Just a few weeks ago, I was working on my family history with a consultant by my side and another helper on the phone. On the computer screen before me was a problem beyond my mortal power to solve. As I understand it, I saw two names sent to me by the wonders of technology of people who might be waiting for a temple ordinance. But the trouble was, the names were different, but there was a reason to believe they might be the same person. My task was to determine what was true. I asked my consultants to tell me. They said,
Wait a second. I'm just
Not God.
going to put in my 2 cents. We're going to find out what happens here. But normally, what a researcher would do in this instance is they would go back to source documents like birth certificates, like census records, things like that, to try and determine what is actually accurate. And I'm going to bet that's not what happened in this case.
But Megan, my thoughts are, he is an apostle of God. Why does he even need a consultant? Wouldn't God and the Spirit of the Holy Ghost just tell him?
Especially as an apostle. I mean, maybe not you and me, Kirsten, but an apostle. Come on.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
no,
Continue.
you must choose. And they were completely sure I would discover the truth. The computer, with all its power and
Reasonable.
information, had left me the blessing of staring at those names on a screen, evaluating the available information, seeking other research, praying silently, and discovering what was true. As I prayed, I knew with surety what to do, just as I have in other situations when I needed to rely on heaven's help to solve a problem. Now,
So he did mention the possibility of looking at other sources, but did he do that? No, he didn't.
He did
just prayed.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
He just prayed. That's all. So that's why I say, when we were talking about doing baptisms for the dead and talking about people submitting names for temple work, these people out here just guessing. They're just guessing. There
were
no
times where mine had only a first name. That was it. No last name,
Yeah.
no birth date, no death date, nothing.
Right.
Sometimes it was just a first
Just a
name.
name.
These cards that we had talked about that people submit, it's wild.
Yeah. So
And
I'm
they're
just
like,
gonna
God will know who it is.
right.
Literally, that's what I was told.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say, if you do your family history research on ancestry.com, or God forbid you go to familytree.org, because that's even worse. Ancestry.com is owned by the MFMC. So if you're doing your research on that site and there are no source documents attached to the individual that you're looking at, please don't just put it in your family tree as if that's true, because these people are literally out here just going, God, please tell me the name. There's the name. And they're just writing it
guess.
down as if it were factual. So when we say family history research, we should really call it family history inspiration, because you cannot trust that to be accurate. So that's my little disclaimer for the day.
I love it.
All right. In the temple, we covenant to keep the law of consecration. We touched on this before. Lesson purpose, to help students understand the sacred law of consecration, which we covenant in the temple with God to obey. And a covenant, when I was a little girl, was taught is a two-way promise. That means you make a promise and God gives you a specific blessing.
Yep.
Yes, you make a promise with God. God gives you a specific blessing. So what were we told about the law of consecration, Kirsten? Were you told that if you paid your tithing, that the windows of heaven would open and there would not be room enough to receive it?
To receive it? Yep. The blessings would just be upon you so much.
That's right.
There
I
would
was
not
told
be room enough to receive it.
Yes, I was told that if I paid a full and honest tithing, that we would never go hungry, that we would never be, my patriarchal blessing says that I would never be without the necessities of life.
Oh,
Guess
that's
what?
nice.
There were lots of times when I was without the necessities of life and ended up having to get food stamps. So
Yep.
that promise turned out not to be true.
Yep.
So anyways,
Yeah.
moving on. To help students understand student preparation, invite students to write how they use their time, talents, or resources to contribute to the Lord's church and kingdom. So this is a little bit of a spoiler alert. You are going to covenant or promise in the temple that you will give your time, talents, and everything that the Lord blessed you with to the church, including your own life. Images to display: cake with topping.
What?
It says images to display cake with topping. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know where the topping with the cake comes in.
I don't either. Are they just saying, like, if you have a cake, you share it with people? Like, I'm very confused.
I don't know. This is the thing about this lesson manual that I don't like, because it doesn't really tell you, like,
what happens in the temple.
so exactly. So you display an image of a cake with topping, and then even if we go to the handout and we read this handout,
It makes no sense.
there's nothing on here about a cake with a topping. Are we supposed to just show it and then hope that the students infer what it's supposed to mean?
What if you find a picture of a cake, but there's no topping on it? Are you now going against the temple prep class?
I think that's what they're saying. I think what they're saying is frosting is celestial, and if you don't have frosting on your cake, it's because you're not celestial.
Just go to outer darkness now. You don't like buttercream? Out.
The law of consecration is that if you have a cake and you scrape off the topping and you only give God the cake part, then you're in violation.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, I just would like to pause at this moment and ask everybody once again if you feel like you understand what goes on in the temple now.
If you vote there are cakes, put a 1 in the comments. But guess what? You're the only one with a cake.
This is what I'm
There's
saying.
no
Like,
cake.
this is what I'm saying. They're always giving us these food metaphors, like the steak center, which has nothing to do with eating steak. And now they're telling us that the temple is a cake, and I'm going to go to the temple expecting I'm going to get to eat cake, and there's not going to be any, and my blood sugar is going to be all over the place.
I'm so sorry. It's like taking a salsa class and showing up with chips and being sorely disappointed. One.
No, this is the whole book.
That's the whole thing?
Yeah, there's a couple more. There's a couple more.
Dude,
Family.
I went to that prep class for weeks. That's all there is?
Yeah,
no
like-
wonder I felt unprepared.
Each one of these sections is a lesson. So, for example, you do the introduction and then you say, this is the first lesson. Jesus Christ is at the center of the temple. Lesson 2, making temple worship a lifelong pursuit. Lesson 3, in the temple, we covenant to keep the law of consecration. And lesson 4, family history and temple service. This lesson's purpose is to help students find the names of their deceased ancestors and perform ordinances for them in the Lord's temples, which we talked about in our
Guys.
baptisms for the dead.
Guys, as someone who's been to the temple many, many, many times, I legitimately thought that was one lesson and there was more. If that is all they give you, this is even worse than I remembered.
Yeah.
Legitimately, like, I'm not trying to be funny for content or whatever. I legitimately was like, Megan, when are we getting to lesson 2? And she's like, no, that's it.
No, we're already on lesson 4, and that's all there is. There are 4 lessons.
Oh my God, this is even worse than I remembered. Like, they literally send you in, all of those lessons are things you already learned in primary.
Yes.
And they doubled down on in young women's and young men's as you went into teenage years. So by the time you're ready to go to the temple, no wonder I remember sitting in this class being like, okay, and what are you preparing me for? This is all stuff I've learned for literally my entire life. Like, you learn more about the temple from that I Love to See the Temple song than you do from this.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do the last lesson here, and then we'll see if everybody's ready to go to the temple. So invite students to be prepared with their login information for FamilySearch.org.
What?
Yeah. So you have, so in order
that
to
was not a thing when I went. I don't know if the internet was invented. No, I'm just kidding. But we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we didn't talk about it in our temple prep class either. But there's a huge emphasis on it now. And in order to get a login for LDS.org, to log in and see your membership information and to see how much tithing you've paid and what callings you've had, and also to see the directory of who else is in your congregation and what jobs they have and all those things, you have to have your member record number, which you can get from your ward clerk. And you also have to have the date of your confirmation, not your baptism, but your confirmation. So for me, again, that was a separate date from my baptism date. So it was like, I couldn't remember. I had to go ask somebody to get it. And then you put those things in because they want to make sure that nobody is so you cannot make a fake account on LDS.org. You can't. I wish you could. But you're not going to see anything that's really not kind of private information anyway. Like most everything that is not private information is available on LDS.org. But yeah, so you have to get your login, and you have to have that login to make an account on familyhistory.org in order to see all of your personal relatives' information. And it is a good practice. The reason they do that is because you can see the information of living people on familysearch.org. They encourage you to print and bring a family name ordinance card from familysearch.org so that you can fill it out. And then they want you to watch these 3 videos. The first one says, improve your temple experience, change your life, which, spoiler alert, even if you improve your temple experience, your life will still suck. The second video...
And you'll be out of multiple hours of time.
That you could be using to improve your life or your relationships, cleaning your house, or owning a business. The second video says focus on the temple, which, spoiler alert, is just a video that says that you should always be thinking about the temple all the time, no matter what you're doing. The next video is spiritual dynamite. We have to see this one. I want to know what is going on with this.
Because it blows up your life? Or
Family history and temple service combine to create a spiritual power that will enable you to become the person God wants you to be.
Okay.
What is this? You can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We are using this video under YouTube's fair use policy for commentary, education, and snark.
Nitroglycerin. This highly explosive compound befuddled modern scientists for years. Something so powerful must certainly have a use. If only this power could be harnessed. Through trial and error, and more error, scientists, well, you get the picture.
I mean, I do have to say, at least it's mildly amusing. at least. Okay, let's go on.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Alfred Nobel discovered that combining nitroglycerin with a clay-like substance made it possible to control the powerful explosion.
Can anyone else say propaganda? Because that's all I'm seeing here.
Yeah. This is especially made for children, everybody, because you know that because it's a cartoon.
Dynamite, a force that can literally move mountains. By combining the right two elements,
Yeah, just throw it out the window. I'm sure no one will get hurt.
No.
Alfred Nobel created a force that was more effective, more useful, and therefore more powerful. Many of us have felt close to the spirit and had special feelings of love while
Did you see that shift that happened right there? Like, all of a sudden, we're blowing up mountains through which a train is coming, but you couldn't have gotten the tracks there before you blew the hole in the side of the mountain. And then all of a sudden, many of us have spiritual feelings about our families.
All I could see is like manifest destiny, like going across the
Yeah.
screen or something.
Right. Exactly.
searching for our ancestors. Many of us have also felt peace and comfort while visiting the temple. But are we missing out on a greater spiritual power? What if we tried combining family history with another spiritual experience, like visiting the temple?
Okay, they're acting like
Why
this
does
is...
the parrot have a top hat? I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but why? The parrot has a monocle and a top hat.
Yeah,
what does that have to do with anything?
Well, because a monocle and a top hat and a cane remind us of Mr. Peanuts. And then if you eat salty peanuts, then you'll get thirsty and you'll want to drink water. If you drink water, you're going to have to go to the bathroom. If you go to the bathroom, then you're going to realize that you're human, and that means that you're mortal and you could die. And so then that means you need to go to the temple so you can be immortal.
Right. Also, it reminds you not to pee in the baptism font.
Wait, what I was going to say is, like, they want us to believe that they're just now coming up with the idea of combining family history work with the temple. No, that's been the way that they've done it forever, like since the beginning of time. But now they're like, now we have this idea where we can combine these two things, and it's even more powerful, something we never thought of before. Liars. Those are the temple cards we were talking about.
Hey, yeah.
There is a spiritual pull in all of us to connect with our ancestors. When we combine our family history work with temple blessings for them, we'll enjoy a power.
Why are they walking sideways?
Like
that can move mountains in their lives and in ours. That can move mountains in our family history work with temple blessings for them. We'll enjoy a power that can move mountains in their lives and in ours.
The real power comes when we combine family history with the blessings of the temple. You'll find not only protection from the temptation and ills of this world, but you'll also find personal power, power to change, power to repent, power to learn, power to be sanctified.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is making me feel really disgustingly gross right now. It makes me feel so gross that they are equating like intelligence, inspiration, shining light with being a good person and going to the temple. So naturally, people are going to have this cognitive dissonance where that means people who haven't gone to the temple don't have this shiny, bright light. This whole thing makes me feel really gross, and I hate every second of it. I hate it.
Every time that little light radiates, I feel like it's like Superman getting his like, all of a sudden you go to the temple, you can play the piano. And,
I just have to say it like this is where Lori and Chad got their whole idea of light and dark. It makes me physically ill. I really feel sick to my stomach right now. Like, I hate this.
Oh, honey.
And this is also why, too, I have to say, like, it pisses me off when people say that what Lori and Chad did had nothing to do with the church, because It 100% did. Like, this is where they got that idea, is from this teaching
Yeah.
that people who go to the temple have more light and knowledge, have more inspiration, they're more righteous than people who don't. And it's
Yeah.
disgusting. Moving on.
100%.
Sorry.
And power to turn the hearts of your family together and heal that which needs healing.
By the way, did you see any single parents in there? Nope. That's because they don't
No.
believe in those kinds of families.
Literally, I was going to say there's no single parents, there's no same-sex parents, and that is uncomfortably more diverse than any other videos I remember seeing.
And also uncomfortably more diverse than any chapel building that you walk into, any congregation that you see.
They are definitely trying to insert it specifically. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Oh, that's all. It's over.
There you go.
Yeah. Last video is Gathering the Family of God, which I don't feel like we really need to watch, because I feel like it's just going to be a video about gathering
It's the same stuff.
like we're all part of the family of God is basically what it's going to say. So this is the point at which I have to ask, like, this is the end of the temple prep lessons. There are 4 lessons. That's it. I didn't even really see any footnotes here at all. I saw scripture references to the Doctrine and Covenants, which are Joseph Smith's imagined revelations. But I didn't even see anything that gives you any more reference than all of the things that are already available that we've already been taught. So I just have to ask at this point now, does everybody feel prepared to go into the temple and make promises to God?
Do you feel like you would know what to expect? I mean, you've
Or what to
heard
do?
you've heard what me and Megan have said, and I'm sure if you're watching ours, you've seen other Ex Mormon content. Outside of the things you've heard people say, if you came in and just had those lessons with the video clips we played,
And
would you know anything that was going on in the temple?
it's a fair question. And you have to also put yourself in the position of not having looked it up on the internet, because we can do that now,
Correct.
but I could not have done that back even when I, got
Yeah,
mine in
same.
the early 2000s. The internet was a thing, but people hadn't posted on the internet yet about the temple ceremonies, because that's
Yeah.
considered blasphemous. It's also considered like, if you reveal the secrets of the temple, you're literally going to die. For
Right.
God will not be mocked.
God will not be mocked. By the way, that is like a sentence that is like one of the very first things they say in the temple.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to point out that we went into our temple experience. We had done baptisms for the dead, so we knew, we'd been taught our whole lives that the temple is the ultimate thing that you have to do on the covenant path. And that once you go to the temple, you receive your endowment and you're sealed to another worthy temple-going Mormon. That's the pinnacle of your Mormondom. And then all you have to do after that is endure to the end. Which
for
means
time
just
in all eternity.
be righteous until the end of your life, and then you're good, you're golden, you're in heaven. And so, yeah, I mean,
But this is the thing. I made a list, Megan, of
Oh.
what I think the temple prep class should have included, which we've touched on a little bit. But here
Right.
is Kirsten's temple prep 101, what they should have put in there.
okay.
Number 1, I think they should have shown temple garments and temple clothing in the fullest on a human, so you know what it looks like and what it represents.
I
I
100%
don't
agree.
think that's sharing secrets of the temple.
No, it's not.
I did not know really what it looked like before I went to the temple. I had seen it in that I had seen my mother ironing her own, and she kind of talked about it, but I had no idea what it looked like on a human body and how weird it was, and that everything meant something. I think they should let you know what garments feel like on your body
Yeah.
prior to purchasing them, which, yes, you have to purchase them. That is now going to be your daily underwear. I think you should be allowed to try them on and feel what they feel like.
Right. And actually
Okay.
absorb that, because even though I knew what temple garments were, I had seen them in the laundry, and I knew that like it was an expectation you wear them
Right.
after the temple. But I didn't logically make the connection that like this is your underwear for the rest of your life. Like
Right.
didn't
Look different. I'm very short. They hit short people differently than they do tall people. I mean, it's a whole thing. How do you feel when you're trying on and picking out new underwear? I think they should let you do that. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
Right.
Number 2, explain that you will get a new name in the temple. I was never
Yes.
told that. It was very weird to me. And I was
Right.
like, what do you mean? I'm supposed to remember this for the rest of my life until I go to heaven.
Right.
And then if I forget it, what does that mean? I'm locked out. I think they should explain that
I agree.
just so you're prepared.
Yeah.
This is all in preparation. This is what I think you should know.
Right.
Number 3, you don't have to tell them what all the rituals are and the handshakes, but I do think they should say there are going to be rituals with handshakes you will be learning in order to enter the celestial kingdom. I think they should say that.
I agree. Now pause for just a second because there's a very famous Boyd K. Packer quote that was in my temple prep manual that I remember. And I remember my temple prep teacher telling me that if you just focus on this one quote, then you will understand everything that you need to know about the temple. So I'm going to find that really
Good
quick.
Lord. I can only imagine what this quote is.
Book called The Holy Temple.
Of course there is. I used to own it. I don't know if I still do. It was a gift to me from a family member when I got married, or right before I got married, so I could read it. I did not read it, to be honest.
I did. I read the whole thing because I was like, I want to know what's up. And then was I any smarter afterwards? No. I see it. I see it. It's on Facebook, of course.
Of course it is.
Oh, is it a Brigham Young? It's a Brigham Young. That's why I got it wrong. It's quoted in Boyd K. Packer's book, but Boyd K. Packer did not say it. Brigham Young said, quote, "Your endowment is to receive all those ordinances in the house of the Lord which are necessary for you after you've departed this life to enable you to walk back to the presence of the Father, passing the angels who stand as sentinels, being enabled to give them the key words, the signs and tokens pertaining to the holy priesthood, and gain your eternal exaltation in spite of earth and hell."
All of our never Mormons. What do you think that means?
So keywords jumps out to me. So I'm thinking, okay, I've always been told the temple is a place where we're going to learn things. So they're going to teach us the things we need to say. Keywords. But signs and tokens, I had no idea what signs and tokens meant. Being enabled to give them the keywords, the signs and tokens pertaining to the holy priesthood. So I didn't know what that meant.
That's the thing. It's like going back to the escape room analogy. It's like they tell you, look for numbers, look for key phrases, look for word scrambles.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can walk into a room and know that 13, 12, 11, and 9 that are on the combination or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that could be as easy as someone saying, okay, put your arm to the square. That's like something they do in every single thing, and you see pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you're going to go in and do the handshake, you know, where you have to interlock pinkies and put your finger on their, you know, their pulse to sign of the nail, you know, all of those things. To me, that's like, I remember even thinking when we were doing the signs and tokens in the temple, this was something I had never heard of. To me, the temple ceremony is I'm trying to think of the phrasing. The temple ceremony is the most away from doctrine I felt. I had never heard or seen anything remotely resembling the handshakes I learned in the temple.
Right. It came
to me,
out of
it was
left
literally
field.
Exactly. All the other things like arm to the square, you had seen 1,000 times.
Seen it done.
You've heard of prayers and things, but like chanting, doing these signs and symbols. Oh Lord, hear the words of my health. Bow your head and say yes. All of that. This was something I had never heard in my 24 years of being a very dutiful, faithful member of the church. more ingrained, I feel like, in the gospel than the average human.
Yeah.
And this was all brand new information to me that I
Yeah.
had nothing to pull from, period.
Yeah. And we'll get into all of this. I know we're kind of like we're getting into the weeds of what the actual ceremony is. We'll get into it. We're getting there, but we wanted to take you step by step through it, just the same way that we went through it when we were in the church, because this is how people get indoctrinated. It's why people stay in the church. It's why they don't leave the church. So we just want people to understand, like, this is what we literally went through. So do you have any other questions that you wish, or things you wish that they would have taught us?
That was the last. I just had those 3 things on my list. But what I was thinking as you were saying that is, it reminds me of that song, even from Saturday Sawyer, line upon line, precept upon precept. I heard that.
Shower. Sorry.
Giving us each other his wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I heard that a lot, and I think you described it perfectly. Like, getting baptized, receiving the Holy Ghost, going through this temple prep class. It's literally like, to me, it felt like anticipation of getting the knowledge, the gift, the final boss level. And then you get there and you're like, dude, this is fucking weird. Like, what the
Right.
hell have I been leading up to? And then when you act confused, you feel like you're the weird one.
Right.
So,
Yep. And we'll get into how we felt that day and why and all that stuff. And that's why we wanted to break this up into several episodes too, is because this is why talking about my temple experience felt so overwhelming, because it wasn't just that day. It was everything that led up to it. And then that day itself was so overwhelming that I, like, thinking about talking about that in one episode, it would have been a long one. So I'm glad we're breaking it up.
Me too.
Thanks for being here with me through this.
Hey, same. This is all stuff that I've laughed about internally and talked in small circles, but really breaking it down, sharing it with people, seeing outside perspectives that I wasn't the only one makes me feel a lot better too. So I appreciate you.
Me too. I appreciate you. Thank you, Kirsten.
Of course. Love you, girl.
All right, you guys have a good day. And remember, don't do any secret handshakes you don't want to do. That's all I'm saying.
If you really want to, then you know what? By all means, go ahead and join the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
But don't do it just because you feel like you should. Don't do it unless you really want to.
It's a personal choice, man.
and just don't wander into the International House of Handshakes. Because they'll get you.
They'll get you every time. On that note, see you guys on Monday for FHE.